All right, Dune 2 dropped on digital home release, and this thing costs $30 instead of the normal $25. What the hell? They're really milking it, you know. Right off the bat, is this a good movie? It's definitely not a great movie. Good movie? It's arguably a good movie. It's definitely okay. Definitely worth a watch. Would I buy this for $30? Probably not had I seen this. I was just really bored and I couldn't wait to see it. And I heard all the reviews saying how awesome it was. So I thought, okay. I was a little bit disappointed. Usually the movies, when they have in the theatrical release, they let it run 45 days and then it becomes available on Amazon Prime and it normally costs like $25. A couple weeks later, it's like $19. But, 25 bucks to purchase it and $19 to rent it. Yeah, why wouldn't you just pay the $5 more and just own the damn thing, right? But for this one, they charged a little bit more. Oh, they're milking it. They want all the money that they can possibly get, right? This film made about $272 domestically and about a 400 globally. So total, it's in the 700 million mark, which is pretty good. Is it anywhere near the mega hits like The Force Awakens? I think domestically it's the highest grossing film. I think it made over 900 million just domestically. You look at Endgame, and Endgame made almost $3 billion. I think it was at 2.7, right? And then of course Avatar and stuff like that. So I don't know why they're trying to, make a big deal about the box office numbers. I mean, certainly it's not as huge as some of the other ones, but it didn't do bad at all. Now the first film dropped on HBO Max, and I remember watching that. And I was like, oh, cool, because I subscribed to it. Now, had the first one released in the theater, not too sure. I mean, I think it would have done okay, but I just don't think there would be as much. I don't think as many people would have seen it. It's both of them are kind of slow paced, and it's a very pretty movie to watch. And I think that's what appealed to a lot of people because they're not used to seeing style in movies these days. Cinematically, this thing is very pretty to look at, very artsy fartsy. But it's that kind of style. It's lacking in a lot of movies today, and this one brings in. I think that's what appealed to a lot of people. Now the acting's great. All the actors, the acting is great. The story, if you're not familiar with Dune, I believe there's about 6 books. I think it gets weird. It might be 9 books. I can't remember. I think there's six. But after this movie here, it kind of ends, and if you're wondering, is there going to be a part three? Of course, there's going to be a part three. Of course, there's going to be a part three. Number two, as well as this movie did in the box office, of course, they're going to make a part three, and the story is practically already written. And it gets into the Holy War. It gets into Paul Atreides pretty much conquering the rest of the universe. And he uses the Fremen army, and it's a little bit contradictory but whatever. He uses the Fremen army, and he conquers the universe, and he rules the universe for, I think, like 1,000 years or something. But if you've read any of the books, he eventually turns into some weird worm-like creature. It gets weird. It gets really weird. But it's different. It's very creative. The Dune books, and it's kind of fitting in nowadays. When this movie released, I think it was back in the '80s. The first movie, they adapted the books and they made a movie, and it there's a certain element to it which was kind of entertaining, but it seemed cheesy. It seemed very cheesy because you're talking about it competing with movies like Star Wars and Star Trek, and in comparison, the Dune, the original Dune movie, everybody thought it was kind of cheesy because it kind of, there were certain aspects of it. It was cheesy, but then other aspects of it was like, oh, that's. I think back then they were just missing the technology. If they had the technology to make it look translate, whatever was in the books into the big screen, I think it would have fared better. But there was, it was a bit of cheese. It did kind of look cheesy, but it was kind of entertaining. But this one here, as well as the first one, is very pretty to look at, But it lacks in-depth action sequences. It lacks big battle scenes. That's what's missing. And you would think that, with these huge armies, that they would have, more weapons, different kind of weapons. They got the dragonfly kind of aerial machines. You think that they would have, more variations, more stuff. That's what, and the battle scenes were very short. There was one battle scene that, one fight scene, not a battle scene, but the battle scenes seem very small. And one fight scene, no, it's not Duncan. What's the other guy? I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember his name right now. But it's Josh Brolin's character. Why can't I think of his name? Well, whatever. He ends up fighting Dave Bautista's character, which I think they kind of downplayed him a little bit. In the first movie, you thought, okay, Dave Bautista is playing this character. I can't even think of his name right now, but you think like he's a big badass. But in this film, it seems like he's a wuss. And they make the other one, Fade, they make him the big baddie. And in the first movie, they were both equally, big and bad or whatever. And I think they kind of downplayed Dave Bautista's character a little bit. He should have been more menacing, more powerful. But you can see, you got a little taste of, Fade, his character or whatever. I think they could have brought him in a little bit sooner, made him a little bit more crazier. I mean, they could have done a little bit more with him. And what is that? Well, I can't think of the actor's name, but he played him pretty good. All the acting in this movie is great. The acting is great, but it just lacks. If the battle scenes were bigger, more in depth, some of the fighting sequences, if they were a little bit longer. I mean, some of it was just ridiculously short. Like Josh Brolin's character when he catches up with Dave Bautista's character. You think that there would have been some kind of fight scene there. But no, he just ends up stabbing him. And it's like, what? That's it? He beat him that easily? Yeah, that was a little bit of a spoiler, but so what? This movie's already been out. You probably already heard of it. This is just my review of it. And, I just thought I just thought there could have been a little bit more to it. And then this fight sequence right here, all right? Paul Atreides wins, right? I thought it could have been a little bit more in depth. And what was cool about the first one is that he uses his voice after he kills that character, and he uses voice, and he just shatters the ground. But they didn't do that here, and during this whole movie, they didn't show him teaching the Fremen with the voice modulator, using the voices as power. I wonder why they left that out. Interesting. And then I don't know. It was an okay movie, but it's not. I wouldn't say. Eh, it's arguably good, but it's definitely not a great movie like all the critics said it was. No, it's an okay movie. It's definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a rental. Would I buy this movie? Not unless you're a fan. And I paid $30 for this because I was bored, and they charged extra. They charged more than they normally do. Boo, boo on Amazon. But I was entertained. Um, but it's not as good as everybody makes it out to. Same, the critics. I don't know. You got to read between the lines these days because so many reviewers are bought, and I can't even show the trailers. You know how some of the movie reviewers they show the trailers over and over and over, and they talk about it. I can't even do that, otherwise I get copyright struck. I don't know why. So all I can do is show you this. Every time I do a movie review, it all gets shot down. I try to keep it brief. They just, they don't like people saying anything about a movie except that, oh, it's awesome. Or if you say what the rest of the other reviewers say, then okay, yeah, as long as you fall in line, right? This movie's okay. It's not good. It's not great. It's very pretty to look at. It just kind of drags on. It's slow paced, and I think it could have used more, more fight scenes, battle scenes, bigger, in depth stuff like that. And there's going to be a part three. Of course, there's going to be a part three, and we're going to have to wait another 3 years for that to come out. I don't know why. Maybe in the third one they'll show the big battle scenes or something like that. I don't know. But if you've read the books, it gets a little weird. here's, here's a little bit of a spoiler. Paul Atreides here turns into like a worm-like creature. He rules the universe for like 1,000 years, and he eventually turns into some kind of worm. So I wonder if they're going to go into that and make it weird, weird, artsy, fartsy. They should, why not? Um, yeah, and then, yeah, of course, they're definitely going to make a third one. Come on. And in his sister, in this movie, I guess she hasn't been born yet, which, yeah, in the first one, that was a little freaky. A little girl comes out and she talks, really weird, and she has lots of power, but they totally didn't. I guess they're definitely going to save that for the third one. But yeah, he turns into a worm-like creature. But this movie it is okay. Definitely worth a rental. Would I buy it for? Not necessarily, but I was bored. So this movie's okay. It's not as great as reviewers say, but yeah, it was okay.